Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Safe Haven Sanctuary. And today, guys, I have one of the best guests ever. Her name is Marley Harris. She is a money and business coach and someone whose work I have recently come across that just deeply resonated. And as soon as I found her work, I was like, I'm getting this girl on my podcast. And here it is. Here it is. My manifestation has come into fruition. So, Marley, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. It is such an honor to have you.
Thank you so much. I'm already so excited for this. I can tell the energy is very high, so I'm very excited to hear what you say.
Thank you. Yeah. So, do you want to just tell it before we get into the juicy stuff? If you want to just tell everyone about your work for those of my audience who may not know you. But yeah, what do you do, Marley? You're more than just a money and business coach. That's just the surface level of it.
I know. I'm like, okay, wait. I don't take up the whole podcast. Don't take up the whole podcast. So I say who I'm really here to help and serve and what I'm here to do is to help people uncover their limiting beliefs and reprogram their subconscious mind to create a life beyond their wildest dreams. I would say my passion and what I talk about all day long and my obsession and what I focus on is helping entrepreneurs become illogically wealthy through reprogramming your
Mhm.
subconscious mind. But we are talking off air, and like I still help my clients with relationships, with self-worth, with
Yeah.
love, because it is all connected. So I would say what I do is because I know how it feels to feel stuck in limiting beliefs and anxiety and depression and trauma and these loop-de-loops of feeling like nothing is ever good enough, nothing is ever going to be happy again, or nothing's ever going to be great again, or I'm never going to feel good again. And I've been there, and that was my, I would say, like hero's journey to kind of figuring out how to go from rock bottom to now. Again, my life is definitely not perfect, but majority of the time I do feel really happy, really fulfilled, really just excited about life. And to
Yeah.
go from that to this, I feel like what I'm here to do is to help people do the same.
Mm, I love it. I love it. And you have, right? Like I can even say from personal experience, I was just sharing with you. I was in your membership. I'll share this. This is a funny story, actually. So you have it's a certain meditation on there, or it's an activation. I don't remember which one, but it was just basically like calling in a certain amount of money, right? And I was like,
Oh yeah.
I'm like, I'm gonna try this. I'm like, I'm just gonna do, I'm setting myself like a really low bar. I was like, I'm just gonna do $50, whatever. So I wrote it down that day. And I was buying something off of Amazon. And I was telling you that I live in Mexico, right? So I was buying something off of Amazon Mexico, and it said I had a $50 coupon. But it was in pesos, which is like nothing. And I was like, shit.
Oh,
I'm like, I gotta be more clear with the universe. So the next time I wrote down like the money in Canadian dollars, but it was just so funny because I was like, holy shit, like this shit works. Like that activation worked. I just wasn't clear enough on my own end, right? But it was just crazy. I was like, holy shit. Like I was like on a high. Even though it was 50 pesos, I was like, I will take the 50 pesos. Thank you so much.
yeah, so we're talking about the Higher Self app right now.
Yeah.
That meditation I created just on a whim. I was like, okay, using my logical brain, I know how subconscious reprogramming works, I know how manifestation works. Let's just put this in audio and see what happens.
Yeah.
And the craziest stories have come through with that. It's like it's called attract a specific amount of money. And
Yes.
every time I've done it, it's happened. It's like I can't really explain it, but it just well, I can. It's like we're reprogramming your subconscious mind to find the evidence of that being true, and then you always do. But it's wild. This is like the 100th story I've heard about this, and every time I'm like so excited to hear that.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, no, yeah, your work is truly amazing. So thank you. And if anybody has not checked out her app, it's absolutely amazing. I love on the app too that there's a specific meditation. I think it's like right before bed, but it just like actually shows you the 21 days and you get to like select off when you've done the 21 days. And I found that really, really helpful, by the way. So yeah, it was great. Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you. I love to hear
yeah,
that. That's like my
yeah.
best compliment ever.
Oh, I'm glad. Okay, so I was listening to your podcast and I was just sharing this with you, and I know like you were just talking about your boyfriend in like the sweetest way, and I'm all about love and romance and a harmonious relationship, but like specifically Not just like any type of relationship, but like really conscious love, conscious, healthy, safe love. And I'm so curious to hear your story because, as an entrepreneur, we know that all of these things link in, like love, money, business, relationships, all of that is, it might seem separate to, other people who may not be aware, but it really is so intertwined, right? And it does come back to rewiring the subconscious mind. And I work with a lot of people around addressing the body and the safety and the nervous system, which I think
Mm.
you do as well too. Like I think you do, that's such a huge part of your work as well too. So I would really love to hear about like how you manifested this man that you have now, who seems absolutely amazing. And I want to hear more about it. Yeah.
Okay, so I feel like I have to share the background story
Yeah,
of
yeah.
meeting this man. So at the beginning of last year, even, I was in a relationship with another man
Mhm.
who, and we had been dating for 3 years. So this is like the end of our 3 year soul contract, let's call it.
Yeah.
And he's such a great guy, lovely human, but
Mhm.
our dynamic really got depolarized. So
Yeah.
I was this like the sole provider of our partnership, and I resented that. I hated that.
Mm.
I He was still in the part of his journey where he was finding his soul purpose and finding his way, and I was, things were really kicking off for me. So I'm like, let's go here, let's go here. He'd be like, well, I can't do that. I'm like, well, it's okay, I'll just get it. And like in that relationship, I really took on the provider role,
Yeah.
and I didn't want that. And it was nothing that he did, it was nothing that I did. It was just like how it just what kind of like what we fell into place. And I
Hmm.
didn't know enough at that point. Well, by the end I knew. But
Yeah.
in the beginning I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, "Oh yeah, let's just do." And then I was like, and then by the end I was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa. What have I gotten myself into here?" And so at the end of last year, sorry, at the beginning of last year, it was like March. No, it's February. No, it's March. I made the conscious decision to we separated.
Yeah.
We went separate ways, and honestly, it was not heartbreaking for me at all. And I don't think it was very like, okay, we know that if we're meant to be together, we will, but we both need to do some soul searching, and this isn't working. This just like isn't working.
Hmm. Yeah.
So then from March to the end of April. So this was a massive quantum leap, okay? Like this is textbook quantum leap.
Yeah.
So I've been working with a mentor. I've always worked with her. She's the best.
Yeah.
And she was really like this mirrors money and love. And I'm gonna like I know you this is what you mentioned, so I'm gonna tie this in. So when I
Hmm.
first started my business, it was also from a very masculine energy. It was do, do, do. Like if I want something, I fully leaned on my masculine. I actually thought being feminine was like, ew. I was like, ew, why are girls feminine? That's so, I thought it was lazy. I thought it was like, I
Yeah.
can't even, so embarrassing to admit this, but I totally dismissed the feminine and only thought success came from masculine energy.
Yeah.
Not making excuses, but it was just kind of like how I was raised, what I would been programmed,
Yeah.
and I didn't know better.
Yeah.
And so, and honestly, it was working. Like I did get a
Yeah.
lot of from my masculine energy, but I was so burnt. I was burnt toast. Okay. I was burnt
Yeah.
toast. I was so unfulfilled. I was so unhappy. So when I worked with my mentor, she really got me into balance. So yes, using the masculine, but then also really leaning into the feminine. And then from that energy, like magic happens, like true magic happens. And so like, oh my God, this is so much better. This is what like fulfillment feels like. This is what ease feels
Yeah.
like. This is what flow feels like. This is what magnetism feels like. So I feel like I became this like supercharged magnet. And when I ended that relationship with my previous partner, I wrote down a list. I'll never forget it. I was like, I am not getting in another relationship until I meet this man. Like, this is my dream man. It was like 3 pages, and I was like,
Yeah.
so specific, like this. And it was really like when I wrote down that list, I looked at that and I was like, it was actually, sorry, before I ended it. And my friend was like, is your current relationship this? And I was like, not even close. She's like, it's time to end it. And I was like, it is
Yeah.
time to end it. What the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
So ended that. Okay, then I really went on this journey of self-love, self-realization, really just becoming my own source of true love, true excitement, true love, like joy and like making my life the best. And my thing was like, I'm only gonna get in a relationship if he makes my life better than being single feels right now. Because I was having a great time. I was
Hmm.
thriving. And I really truly believed for the first time in my life, like I was like, I am a catch. Like I just
Yeah.
really, I came from very, 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 very low self-worth. So this
Yeah.
was like monumental for me. And it was a few different things, but I was actually, again, big theme, but I was on a call with this mentor. And when we landed, so I moved to Cape Town officially moved last June.
Okay.
And when we moved here, my girlfriend who I moved with was like, I want a husband, I want to get married, I want to get wifed up. And I was like, huh? I was like, I don't. Ew, like
Yeah.
no, like doing my own thing, goodbye, good luck, have fun, but like not doing any of that.
Hmm.
And I brought that to my call because I said that. I was like, wait, that's if you're really against something, law of opposing forces, that means like there's something there. Like
Yeah.
if ever my client's like, I'm super against this, I'm like, okay, let's talk about that. Like, why are you against that? And so when I got to the call, she was like, okay, well, why do you want to be in a relationship? And I was like, did you just hear me? Like, I don't. And she was like,
Yeah.
no, why do you want to be in a relationship, Marley? Literally, I was like, okay. No, I don't. And then she was like, "Well, you do. You want to share your life with someone." And then my whole heart was like, "Yeah, that's of
Oh,
course that's what I want. Like I want
yeah.
that so badly." But my belief was that being in a relationship with someone meant taking care of them and taking
Yeah.
responsibility for them and providing for them. And you saw that in my previous relationship, and you could see that in previous relationships, and you could see where that
Hmm.
came from. So I'd create this reality where I would attract people that I had to provide for, and I was
Yeah.
exhausted. And the energy was like, if you're going and hiking to the top of the mountain, um, my belief of partnership was like carrying him on my back, carrying him up the mountain, and carrying all the bags. Like,
Hmm.
and she was like, let's reframe that of like you're walking side by side. And it's so much more fun because you get to enjoy the hike together. You get to be like, oh my gosh, look at that flower. And you get to enjoy life together, but you
Yeah.
all have your own backpack. You are both fully able. You don't need each other. It's just life is better together.
Yeah.
And it was mind blowing. I was like, oh, I didn't even know that was a thing. So we cleared that belief. Okay. And then I have to backtrack a little bit. So I, again, this is like everything's all connected. So when I came to Cape Town for the first time so we're going on timeline, basically last March, moved to Cape Town, ended it with my previous relationship. I had been living out of a suitcase for 5 years. Okay.
Mhm.
I had a huge like block to staying put because we talked about this off air, but growing up, I really didn't like where I grew up. I really didn't like where I lived. And I always had this
Hmm.
like fear of commitment. So
Yeah.
I had never signed a year contract in my life. I never had I was living in all over the world and I was constantly in Airbnbs, etc.
Yeah.
I never had a commitment to anything. Never had a car, never had any sort of commitment. So when I moved to Cape Town, it was the first time I came somewhere. Well, the second time. The first time was Bali, but that's another story for a different time. Second time I came somewhere that I was like, oh my gosh, I think I could live here. Then after I was only meant to be here for 2 weeks, I stayed here for 2 months. And at the end of April, I decided one day, I was like, you know what? I called my friend. I was like, the friend that I moved here with, I was like, I would rather live in Cape Town all year round than go to Europe for summer. I would rather live here for winter. I want to
Yeah.
sign a year lease. I'd done so much healing around home, and my whole soul was like, we need to ground. We
Yeah.
need, we need consistent, we need stability. My whole nervous system was like in the sky.
Yeah.
So that day I decided, I was like, I'm gonna make Cape Town my home. That day I found my dream home that I signed for the first time for a year lease.
Oh my
I decided
gosh,
to move my
that
name,
day?
and it's the day I
Wow.
met him. It's the day I met my
Oh my
my
gosh, no.
yeah. So I was out and I was out with my friend, wasn't planning on going out, went out, and we were at this bar. And again, I was completely sober. I was just like out with my girl. I was leaving back to Canada that Monday. So again, I wasn't looking for anything, wasn't looking for anyone, was just completely content. And but just out to have a good time with my friend. And this guy comes up to me and he like taps me and he was like, "Hey, have you met my friend Tian?" And I looked at Tian and I like look up and I didn't think anything because he was like texting. And I was like, oh, whatever. And then I like go back to my friend. And then like 1 second later, he like comes over, like puts his hand around me. He's like, sorry, I was just making sure my friend got home safe. Like, I'm Tian, what's your name? And I was like, ooh. And then, but I honestly didn't think anything of it. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, well, and at the time, I was like kind of seeing other people. So I was like super not, I was just like, hey, like, wasn't like, like, he is gorgeous, but I wasn't like, I was not, I didn't have any emotional reaction.
Yeah.
And then had a super fun night with him. Like, like, the minute he introduced himself, he was like, can I have your number? I want to take you on a date tomorrow. And I was like, sure, like, so didn't care.
Yeah.
And then that night we like, yeah, nothing happened. He's like kept being like, can I kiss you? I was like, no. I was just like, I was like, no, like whatever.
Yeah.
Um, he did sneak in a kiss, but then and then on Monday, the following he we kept trying to see each other, nothing was working. He kept trying to take me out. I was busy, blah blah blah. And then that Monday, so we met on Saturday. That Monday, I flew back to Canada, and he was like, okay, well, I don't know why, but I guess the universe needs a month. And then I flew back to Canada. I was gone for a month. Then fast forward a month, I had that call with my mentor. Okay. And I had been back in Cape Town. I still hadn't seen him yet, but we talked while I was gone. Had that call with my mentor. That following Monday, we had our first date. And then it's been like, yes, like true, like the type of love I didn't even know existed since. And it's not, I don't want to say that it's perfect and we never fight and it's like
Yeah,
amazing.
of course not.
It is the type of love that is like, I know it's like it feels like soulmate love.
Hmm.
It's the most special, purest love, and it's definitely my favorite, best manifestation yet.
Oh, I can only imagine. That is such a beautiful story. And it just shows how the inner work that you've done on yourself is so powerful because like you literally attracted that all in that one day. You know what I mean? But it wasn't really that like I mean it's obviously like that buildup of work that you've done, like I said, right? But that's just it's such a beautiful story. And so like you mentioned that it's like such a beautiful love and like yes, it's not perfect in any means, like nothing is, but
Mm.
what do you think has made it so beautiful, like on your part and his part? Because, and I wanted to highlight
Mm.
something that you mentioned that you were the provider in like your last relationship, and this is
Mm.
something that I talk about with my clients. I think like as women, like I don't want to speak for you, but I'm just going to speak for myself. But like we love to be led by a healthy masculine. You know what I mean? Like I think that there needs to be a beautiful dance between like when the healthy feminine leads, sorry, and when the divine masculine leads. Because like for me, like I love when a man protects me. I love when I feel safe in a man's arms. And I feel like in the society that we're in right now, it's like shame to maybe it's the world I'm in, I don't know, but like I just see a lot of things
Mm.
online of like hyper independence within women of like, like I don't need a man, I can do it all by myself. And it's just like, no, like, yeah, like we have that within us. Like, of course, like we're women, we can do fucking anything. We're so
Mm.
powerful. But it's really nice. Like it's nice to have someone who can like who we can lean on and who we can like receive that emotional support from too, right? All while holding ourselves at the same time. Like it's all about like a divine balance, I think. But yeah, I don't know what your take is on that, but I love the dance between like the healthy divine feminine leading because men need our support too, like they they're vulnerable beings as well. They just don't show it as much as us, right? Because again, like they've been brought up in a society where they're shamed for it, and it's like it's so beautiful to see a man soften in a woman's presence because all while like him still embracing his masculinity. Like it's just I don't know, I've seen this with my past partners and I'm just like fuck, like your emotions are hot. Sorry. Like I love it.
Oh, yes. Okay, so again, I want to speak for myself. I'm not going to
Yeah.
speak for everyone.
Yeah.
But when I got out of that previous relationship, I was like, okay, that doesn't work for me.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
know that I want a man that leads, a man that
Hmm.
provides and protects for me. And I don't mean necessarily financially.
Yeah.
I don't need him to out earn me. I don't need him to pay for my rent. That's not what I
Hmm.
personally I just want him to provide a safe space for me.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
And I've heard someone say this, but like the hottest thing a man can do is protect you from yourself. And I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
So someone that was very emotionally intelligent, someone who
Hmm.
could hold space for my success and my business and cheered me on and then shared that with me and
Yeah.
so that was very important to me. And again, did a lot of healing and rewiring on that. And I believe, well, my personal belief is that as a feminine female, it's like a positive and negative magnet. A feminine female is naturally attracted to a dominant male, a
Hmm.
healthy male. It's just it's to me it's balance. It's yin and yang. It's
Hmm.
connectivity. So I also used to be in that energy of I don't need a man. I'm gonna do it on my own. But I was
Yeah.
lying to myself. I was
Hmm.
just scared that I wasn't going to be able to attract that. I was scared of being let down. I didn't trust men. I didn't trust the masculine to provide for me. So I was just
Yeah.
like, it was a cop out. So when I healed that, I realized deep, 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 deep down, that was actually my biggest soul desire is to
Hmm.
feel protected
Yeah.
and safe with a male and
Yeah.
with a man. And because I never had that. And so it was like my deepest soul desire, but I was lying to myself and others saying I didn't want that because I was just so scared because I just had never had that. And so to answer your first question about what has been the most healing, I think with him, well, I can speak to myself. So I lost my dad at the age of 25. He committed
Hmm.
suicide. And
Okay.
that for me was I don't want to say it stirred my abandonment wound, but it definitely made a very big dent in my abandonment wound. I think
Of
my soul
course.
came here with the abandonment wound.
Yeah.
And so when I got in a relationship, I've always had this fear of loss, this fear of abandonment. And what I would do is I would run away. So I would run away instead of letting, and in fear that they would run away. With my partner, he doesn't have that at all. Like his parents have been together for like 44 years. They are so in love. Like his
Oh,
model of relationship is like solid, fucking rock solid.
yeah.
So my like when we get into argument, I'd be like, okay, whatever, I'm just gonna leave. He's like, you're gonna sit down and we're gonna talk through this. And I'm like, what? Like,
You're
and
like,
like
yeah.
yeah, and I'm like, okay, well, just leave, just leave. He's like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm sitting here this whole time, and I'm like, and for me, one of I would say he has helped me heal one of my biggest like deep and soul wounds. And again, I'm not saying to outsource your healing, like it is within you, but
Yeah.
his the way he communicates with me and the way he makes me feel safe is really healing to me. And
Yeah.
when I went home now and I was, I noticed that my patterning has even changed, just been like learning from him, learning how to communicate, how to stay in conflict, how to not run away. And then I learned from him, and then I noticed that I'm a better daughter, I'm a better friend, I'm a better business owner because I'm not trying to run away all the time anymore. I
Hmm.
actually feel safe in staying, and I've never had that my whole life. So there, like I would say, just like in the ways that he has mirrored to me, and the ways that I've also mirrored to him, of like it's okay to be us and like this is a very safe space. We can yell at each other, we can get mad at each other, but it's like but like leaving is just not an option. And I've never
Hmm.
had that before. And that to me has like I could like if I think about it too much, I will cry. It's like this most sacred
Oh,
thing to me.
yeah. Yeah. Crying is welcomed on this podcast, by the way.
Yeah.
So if emotions come up, feel free. It's really okay. No, thank you for sharing that because, and security is it is such a deep thing that us as women need. I think everybody, not even just women, like men need it too. And so, and you mentioned something like around not outsourcing your healing, right? But I truly believe that yes, like we have to have like that inner foundation, but also we heal so much through our romantic relationships. And so when someone creates a safe space for us and we're actually not even that used to it, it's such a shock to our nervous system. We don't know what the fuck to do with it. We're just like, what is this, right? And I'm sure you were feeling that. I could tell from what you were explaining, right? But when you have that safe presence, whether it's a safe masculine or feminine presence, to be like, this is the thing with like healthy relationships is like it's not just like oh love and it's like hey, I'm gonna call you forward and I'm gonna call you out on your shit with so much love and we're gonna work through this. Like I love that you said like it's not an option to leave because I've seen, especially working with a lot of couples, that like people are like they just like break up and they're just like super on and off, and that just creates such a huge disconnect and such a huge distrust, right? When
Mm.
really like people can just sit down and like address the root cause, because and a lot of the times the root cause comes from our childhood. It comes from like you said, like abandonment
Yeah.
wounds, fatherhood, mother wounds, sisterhood wounds. Like there's layers of it, right? And I'm sure you know that because you know you help people rewire their subconscious mind. There's so many layers to that, right? And so having someone who actually understands that, like you mentioned, emotional intelligence, right? Having someone who actually understands that and sees you for you, like even in those dark moments, and it's just like, I'm gonna fucking love you anyway, and sit with the conflict and resolve it, and we're gonna get through it. Like that to me, like that is a healthy sacred union. Like, yeah.
Ugh.
Oh,
And okay, so this brings up two things I want to share.
yeah, yeah,
It's okay, so one thing is like being in a relationship with someone. I believe in souls. I believe our souls came here for a reason. I believe that
yeah.
we have soul contracts with people.
Hmm.
And it's like recognizing that my soul chose his soul and we are here
Yes.
for a bigger reason than we are my little human peanut brain can even comprehend.
Yeah.
And it's like believing in that, and that is solid. So if I believe in that, then that is like a solid thing that can't change. Whereas if I'm looking externally at variables that can change, of like, oh, he said this or he did that, or oh, does that mean that, because my human brain can do that, my ego will
Hmm.
actually wants to do that. Then I'm constantly like this up and down of like, oh yes, da da da. And where it's like, if you actually just like think about it, it's like, okay, our souls are here for a reason. We chose each other for a reason. And that's all I need to focus on. Like, and just
Yeah.
enjoy that. And something else is I've heard, and when you are in like a soul complement couple, they will actually trigger you the most because they
Yeah.
are in your life for a reason, and they will reflect to you all the areas in your life where you're not 100% whole. So what I've learned to do is like if I'm feeling triggered or if I'm feeling upset by something that he's done, instead of blaming him or getting mad at him, I'm asking myself, okay, where am I doing that to myself? How was
Mhm.
I a vibrational match for that? And how can I heal that with myself? So let's say, for example, I'm just gonna think of a silly example, like
Mhm.
something basic. Let's say I'm like, oh, he's not complimenting me enough. I want the validation of him to tell me that I'm pretty. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, pause. Where am I not giving myself enough compliments? Why do I
Hmm.
need that from him? And where can I give that to myself? And I've actually done that. I've tested this theory. I started actually just like calling, like truly every single day, reprogramming, thinking great thoughts about myself. Every time I look at me, you are beautiful, beautiful. This man, and every time he sees me, he's like complimenting me. I'm like, oh my gosh, because people can only treat you how you treat yourself.
Yeah.
So if you're in a relationship and you're not getting the compliments, if you're not getting the acts of service, you're not getting the support, whatever it is, insert whatever word, say, okay, how can you give yourself that first so that you create that code within you that says, I am supported. And when you're writing that script, like I am supported, then people cannot help but support you. It's everything. It's
Hmm.
putting yourself, if you feel like your partner isn't putting yourself first, where are you not putting yourself first? If
Yeah.
you feel like your partner isn't providing for you, where are you not providing? It's
Yeah.
life is one big mirror. And I feel like if you're in a really conscious relationship, like a soul complement relationship, they will actually trigger the fuck out of you. But it's not a sign to leave. It's not a sign to break up. It's a sign to heal. That's why your
Yeah.
soul chose each other for soul growth. And if you can acknowledge that, it takes so much stress away and so much like, oh my God, it's like, oh, this is happening for a reason. Okay, why is this happening? And then where can I give myself that? That alone has like changed my life.
Hmm. So, okay, so for people who are listening who might be in, like, what if they're not in like a soul complementing relationship? Like, how, in your opinion, how can they decipher the difference between like when they need to leave because,
Mm.
sorry, I don't know if I'm phrasing this properly, but
No,
like,
I totally, I actually know, I already know how to answer. Okay.
yeah, okay.
So, okay. So never make the decision out of the trigger. Okay. So if you're feeling triggered, let's say you get in a fight, something happens, you're like, fuck it, I want to break up. There's like, okay. In both scenarios, never leave because of the trigger. Okay. But
Hmm.
then when you get to a neutral energy and you're not in the trigger, in a soul complement relationship, you will be in love and you won't want to leave. If you're neutral and you want to leave, then that's your answer.
Yeah. Yeah. I
It's
agree.
going to be a tough pill to swallow, but I even want to say like your intuition knows. I just feel like your intuition knows if you are
Yeah.
like it, you will know the answer. And sometimes but if I'm saying that, but it took me a really long time. I knew that I needed to end the relationship way, 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 way
Yeah.
after I actually did it. It took me a very, very long time. So I'm not saying what I'm telling you to do is easy, but
Yeah.
it's like I did know, but I just kept lying to myself.
Well, I think that's the difference, right? Is like you said, the intuition piece, is like deep down we know, and like I think sometimes like there's parts of us that want to make the excuse because like if we make this relationship work, then that means something about ourselves. It means like we're successful in a relationship, we're successful in love, right? And so I think like when there's that sort of justification or around like even sometimes like I know I was in a relationship and I wanted to make it work because I was like fuck like I love his family so much. I just
Mhm.
I don't want to lose his family. Fuck him. I don't want to lose his family. um so like when there's those sort of thoughts that are coming up and you're just like you really do know in your body when something is for you and something is not. And again, like, yeah, I just want to be clear, it's around soul complementing relationships, not like abusive relationships, because those are two completely different things. I think people sometimes get those mixed up. Like, oh, this is something I hate, and I don't know how you feel about that, but like when people like throw around the term like what is it called? Twin
Twin
flame.
flame. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And I'm just like, nah, girl. Like, that's straight up abuse. Like,
Yeah, let's make that very clear. If you are in an abusive relationship, leave and then determine what the
yeah,
reflection is.
yeah,
Like, why was that reflecting in your life? But if there's any sort of abuse at all, leave
yeah,
immediately. That's not even,
100%.
don't try to figure that out. That's not,
Yeah,
you don't figure that out.
exactly. Yeah. And yeah, like that is the difference, right? Like, there's no tolerance or acceptance for that, right? And I think
Absolutely
too,
not.
yeah, and I think sometimes too people are not really like again like they're not really sure like what the difference is because like they've grown up in environments that haven't really reflected healthy love, you know. I know like I really needed to learn like a lot about what healthy love was because yeah, it wasn't really modeled in the greatest way for me, right? And I know so in something you had said earlier in the episode is you talked about that you came from like really low self-worth. So it really, if you're open to sharing as little or as less as you'd like, but or as much as you'd like, I mean, like where do you think like that low self-worth stem from and like what were some experiences that you had before you even got into this work?
I feel like this is one of my biggest soul journeys because I'm not perfect in this, but I will say I've
Yeah.
come like so far, so far. So now
Yeah.
I will like kind of, I'll be super, super, super feeling really, really good, and then I'll dip, and then I'll be back to feeling really, really, really good. So I'm not perfect in this, and again, not that perfect's ever the expectation, but again,
Yeah.
I'm not coming from you from this place of like I'm always in love with myself, and every time I look in the mirror, I'm always great. Like that's not me.
Yeah.
So please don't think that I think that. But so growing up, I was always quite shy and introverted. And
Really?
yes,
That's so hard to believe. Like, I mean,
I
I see
know.
your online presence and I'm like it's the opposite. It seems like the opposite, you know?
No, now I'm like, if I'm alone for too long, I'm like, oh, and also, I would say I'm very outgoing now, but I was just super shy. I was just like super traumatized, I feel like. So I was just
Mhm.
super shy.
Yeah.
And then I was always very shy around boys. I don't know, I just was very shy. I I was modeled not like I would say looking at the women in my life, they also had very low self-worth and self-confidence. So I just kind of absorbed that. Again, not
Yeah.
blaming. It's perfect. It's actually part of my soul
Yeah.
journey to be
Yeah.
that and learn there. Then then in grade 7, my acne started and I had severe hormonal acne like all over my body, all over my face, all over my
Oh
body.
wow, your whole body.
Hell, and honestly, until maybe like like it was probably like 15 years it happened for me. Like, and I would just look in the mirror and be like, you're disgusting. I hated the way I looked. And then when I went to university, I gained freshman 15, gained a bunch of weight. Oh, and I was binge drinking, eating so poorly. My mental health was
Mhm.
in the drain. And I just hated myself. Like I hated the way I looked. I
Yeah.
hated the way I was. I would be walking down streets and like someone would wave at me and I would just pretend not to see them because I wasn't wearing makeup. And so I'd pretend to not see them.
Yeah.
And then I was like, if I was in the cafeteria and I wasn't wearing makeup, I would literally like avoid eye contact with everyone because I was like so embarrassed on my skin. And that caused a really big crater of dent in my self-confidence. Then I, oof, like it was maybe 2020 that I did this cleanse and I did a like 5 month like parasite candida cleanse. My acne had majorly subsided once I left Canada, once I started living in the tropics, once I
Mhm.
started living out my purpose, started my
Yeah.
business, like it pretty much like healed itself. But then I was like, okay, you know what? This is like I'm still not feeling really great. And then so I did a cleanse and then I started subconscious reprogramming and I started healing my relationship with myself and healing my relationship with my skin and like I would say subconscious reprogramming is what cleared it the most and healed it the
Yeah.
most. And I'm still working on this. But now like I literally will be in rooms sometimes and I'm like, I feel like the most beautiful person here. And that is
Mm.
impossible, like impossible. And I will look in the mirror and be like, I love you. And that so and I really feel so much deep love for myself and I'm
Yeah.
just so proud of myself every single day. And
Yeah.
to think of where I was and where I am now, it's and it actually breaks my heart to think about people who still feel that way because it's a prison
Yeah.
and it is so devastating. It is a poison that takes up your brain. It impacts every area, it impacts your relationships, it impacts how you show up at work, it impacts your well-being, it impacts everything, which is obviously why I'm so passionate about what I do because you don't have to feel that way and you are so beautiful and you are perfect. You actually are perfect. And when you can see your own perfection is when you break free. And I would say like yeah, healing that was probably like really has been one of my biggest accomplishments because to be on the other side of that is like to me true freedom.
100%. 100%. And I mean, yeah, like again, deeply believe in subconscious programming and the fact that you cleared your acne with that, like that. I know there's so many people who are going to be reaching out to you wanting all the answers to that one. Because it's true. Like, and I don't, do you believe in this? Like our physical symptoms like mirror kind of what's happening for us internally.
1,000,000%.
Yeah. Yeah. Eh,
So it's pretty much like where you're beating yourself up.
yeah.
So if you're beating up your stomach and how you look, you're gonna hold on to extra weight.
Hmm.
It's our mental mind. If you're like, I'm sure you've read the book You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. Like Louise Hay is
Yeah.
like the master of
Yeah.
this. And whenever I have a physical symptom, I'm like Louise Hay, like knee
Do you
pain,
go
and
to, she
like
has like a
yes,
little
yes.
chart of like every single body part. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, this is why this is happening. And then I'll clear that and then it'll like instantly
Yeah.
clear. So I'm like, it's the best life hack ever.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Oh, wow. Gosh, your story is so powerful. I love it. I love it. So, thank you so much for sharing all of that. Now, I would love for us to get into money talk. Money talk. And
Yes.
like, so given all these experiences that, you shared, like both like from like prior to you doing the mindset work, and like even like prior to you even becoming an entrepreneur, like how did you like, and I don't even know like where was your mindset before, like in scarcity mindset, or like did you always have this mindset of like, okay, like yeah, like money comes to me easily and like I know how to make money, and yeah, I'm just super interested to hear about that.
The opposite. So growing up, the conversation around money was very scarce. My both of my parents were entrepreneurs and my dad worked in the restaurant. So
Mm,
he was never at home. He was always working. he was always making ends meet. There was never enough money. It was always a fight. My mom, neither of their businesses took off. There was like our phone bill would get off, our TV got cut off, like everything.
Yeah.
Like one year we'd have Christmas presents, one year we wouldn't. And I realized, like, in comparison, I'm super, super privileged to grow up in Canada, to have a roof over my head.
Yeah.
Like, I was privileged, but in my human brain, in where I was in as a child, looking at other people, I felt scarcity and poverty growing up. And interestingly enough, I grew up and I was like, for some reason, this is what happened to me. I was like, I don't want that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to live here. I don't want to be stuck. I don't want to live this type of life. And my brain, luckily, my dad had really wealthy friends, and we would be around them, and they would look so happy, and they'd have these nice homes, and they'd have food, and they like,
Yeah.
oh, we had food, but like it was just like abundance. And I was like, my soul was like, that's what I want. That's what I
Yeah.
want. And so my brain made this like realization of like, if I have money, then I'll be happy. If I have money, then I'll be free. If I have money, then I can live in these places. Like, and so from a very young age, I like just sought out money, but never was making money. So like I would make money, but I never like I was making money and earning money, but I never felt rich. Money would always come and go. Money was always scarce. Like I was
Mm-hmm.
modeling my childhood for a very long
Yeah.
time until I went through the loss of my dad and I actually started learning about healing for the first time in my life. And I started applying the principles that I was using to heal from trauma to heal my money mindset. Because I was like, well, if this is working on my limiting beliefs about my childhood, sure. I was like, I just made logical sense to me. Well, if I apply it to money, then this is going to do the same thing.
Yeah.
And I started my business at the time as well. So I was like, I want to get the fuck out of Canada, so I need money. So I started applying it to to money, and then my business like catapulted. And everyone was like, how are you earning this much money? And I was like, well, I'm just doing all these like affirmations. I'm reprogramming my subconscious mind. Is that like, aren't you guys doing this? I'm like, no. And that's when I was like, oh, wait, this is actually what I'm here to share.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that. And I love how you took it like from one aspect of your life, what was working, and applied it to the next, because oftentimes that's actually what we need to do, right? And sometimes it's not, like, maybe not, but like like we have all these tools within us, and like if we know how to manifest and heal one aspect of our life, like that is a huge sign that it can definitely be applied to other parts of our life. And so
100%.
what would you tell the person who's like, because you said something, and I'm so happy that you said this, by the way, because you're like, oh, like if I have money, I'll be happy. If I have like other things that lead to money, that will be happy. And I feel like in the spiritual, from what I see, is like, yes, like I mean, I believe that money is important. It is like we're living in a 3D world, and we do need it. We need it to survive, right? And there's lots of shame around it, around like wanting more. So like what would you tell the person who like wants more money, or like is like feeling bad to ask for more, and feels like, okay, like I need to stay in this scarcity mindset because maybe they're leaving other people behind, or maybe they're just feeling like it's not going to happen for them. Like what would you tell that person?
The first thing that came to mind is I like to think about nature. Okay.
Mm,
And if you think about an apple tree, an apple seed isn't like, or an apple that's about to like blossom isn't looking at the other apples and being like, oh fuck, should I not grow because there's already all these other apples around? Or
mm,
the leaf isn't looking at the other leaves and being like, oh, should I not grow my leaves because there's all these other leaves? Like, should I not reach for higher branches or go higher? Should the tree
mm,
not keep growing because there's all no, nowhere in nature is there's this element of comparison or this
yeah,
element of not being able to have what you desire. And it's not even like this element of more. It's like this just like what you desire. And if
exactly.
you
Yeah.
have a desire, then you are destined for it. And the shame or the guilt that you feel is not even yours in the first place. I could go down this whole rabbit hole of how society doesn't want us to have more because if we have more, then we're less controllable, blah, 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 blah. Not even go down that rabbit hole. But anyways,
Yeah.
when good people have good money, they do good things for the
Mm,
world. And so
yes.
if
Yes.
you I'm assuming everyone listening to this episode right now is a very highly conscious being. You with more money is actually a great thing for the world. The universe wants that for you. Money wants that for you. Money wants to be used for good. So you're doing a disservice by actually not asking for what you need. And let's say you are in an airplane and the airplane's going down and all you need is just to grab the oxygen mask and you have one there, but you're like, oh no, I would feel guilty because then what if I take too much oxygen and then other people, it's like, no, you're grabbing the oxygen, you're getting what you need, you're taking what you need.
Hmm.
So this societal programming of feeling guilty for asking for more or wanting more is a limiting belief construct. It's a brain virus. And I am here to be the one of like, you get to have everything that you want and more. And if you don't believe that, you immediately need to download the Higher Self app and clear that belief. Because
Yep.
with that, you will not attract what you desire. You physically can't. It's a subconscious, conscious disconnect. If you feel bad for asking for more, you will never ask for more. You will never reach for more. When you clear that, you will notice this is your birthright. Abundance is your birthright. There's no, like, a tree doesn't look at the rain. It's like, please, please come to me. I feel like I need you, but I can't ask the rain. The tree just expects the rain. Nature is a full cycle.
Yeah.
And once you realize that, like, actually, if I could go really deep on this, it's like you actually
Hmm.
don't even need to seek for it because you are it. Like, you are
Yes.
the source of abundance. Abundance is within you. So you can't feel guilty for something, for asking for something that you are. That's like, can I please be Marley? It's like, well, you don't have to wish to be Marley, you just are Marley. Can I please have
Yeah.
more? I feel bad. You don't have to wish, or you are more. You have it within you. You are the source of your own abundance. And when you
Yeah.
realize that, it's like it's actually game over for you. Like in the sense of like you've just unlocked unlimited abundance.
Yeah. I love the I love the nature analogy because it's so true. Like we walk outside and there is just so much abundance, like abundance of oxygen, abundance of trees and nature, right? And just like and I think that's a huge disconnect between a lot of people because I mean, I'm such a person who's connected to nature as well. That's why I live where I live as well too. Um and I think that like the cycles of the seasons and just even like what you compared with the leaf analogy and the apples as well too. I also feel that too as human beings, like we need to spend more time in nature in order to like receive these codes from like Mother Earth as well too, because and you mentioned something as well too before around like when you were like so much in your masculine, just like doing, doing, doing. And I think the gap in between that is like putting ourselves in nature and just allowing ourselves to be held by Mother Earth, by the divine, by, you know, whatever your higher power is, whoever's listening, whatever your higher power is. But yeah, I absolutely love that. And you already are. Yeah, I love that. Like you really already are. It is already within you. And you know, I tell this to my clients too, like if there is that desire in your heart, there's a seed that has been planted within your soul, within like your DNA, and there is a version of yourself that already has this because if there wasn't a version of yourself that didn't have it, you wouldn't have that desire, right? So, yeah. Yeah. Oh, Marley, this has been one of the best conversations I've ever had.
Oh my God, thank you.
No, thank you. Is there anything like any last pieces of wisdom that you want to leave our people with? And also let us know where you hang out the most. I'm gonna leave everything in the show notes, but yeah.
Thank you so much. This has
Yeah.
been so much fun. You are such an incredible host.
Thank you.
You can find me on Instagram at Marley Rose Harris, and I have my own podcast called the Money Mindset Manifestation Show. And then, like we've been mentioning, you can get the 14-day trial to the Higher Self app, the first subconscious reprogramming app below. Last words. I feel like what I want people to know is no matter where you came from, no matter what you currently believe, no matter what your current financial relationship, no matter what you're currently in, it doesn't have to be like that. It doesn't have to be your reality. You don't have to stay in this relationship if you're unhappy. You don't have to stay stuck in this financial reality if you're not 100% satisfied. There are tools that really, really effectively work, but it is an element of co-creation. we can't just like
Yes.
wish for a new relationship or wish for a better financial reality and just hope and wish. It's a dance of creating intentional change in your life by doing things like reprogramming your subconscious, by getting around expanders, by doing things that expand you. So, my invitation, if you're listening to this and this is maybe illuminate some areas of your life that you want to change, like the change starts within you. You are capable of having anything that you want. And if I can do it, so can you. If I can come from like literally nothing in terms of financial reality and create this, you can too. If I can also be raised in a relationship which was nothing but turmoil, fighting, and conflict, and then manifest this, so can you. There's like nothing special about me. It has truly just been the tools that has gotten me there and the desire to do so. And that's honestly, if you have both those, you can create anything that you want.
Mm, I love that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That was like your wisdom. Again, like I said, it's impacted me so much. And I know that everyone listening is going to just feel your beautiful, loving energy. And if you haven't already, go follow Marley. Is it at Marley Harris?
It's Marley Rose Harris. Yeah.
Marley Rose Harris on Instagram and download her Higher Self app. I'm telling you from firsthand experience, it's like one of the best apps that I've ever downloaded. I actually don't usually download apps, by the way. Yeah, I'm not really a person who downloads apps, but yeah, I don't know. I felt called to do so, and I'm glad that I did because yeah, we
Oh,
wouldn't be here
thank
today
you.
if it wasn't for that. So yeah,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much for your time. It's been such an honor to have you on. And we will talk soon. Thanks everyone so much for tuning in and have a beautiful rest of your day. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. It means so much to me that we got to spend time together today. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at safehavensanctuary_. And if this episode resonated with you, it would mean the absolute world to me if you would share it with someone who you think it might resonate with as well. Or better yet, you could take a screenshot of this episode and share it to your story, tag me in it, just so we can bring more awareness to the podcast, and this will help the podcast to grow as well too. I appreciate all your support. I appreciate you listening, and I love you. Thank you for being here with me. Your presence, your time, your heart, your soul is so deeply valued here. I'll see you on the next episode.